Welcome to 2 Peter chapter 3. I can't believe we're at week 48. It's just counting down until we've had our whole year together. And if this is your very first time coming to our 52 greatest chapters, I'm John Barnett. Right over there behind the camera is my wonderful wife, Bonnie. And we're on together, you that are watching and Bonnie and I, on a year-long journey going all the way through the Bible, using the 52 greatest chapters. Now, I have taped right here in the front of my Bible the course plan. Now, if you go to our website, discoverthebook.org, you can get this how to do the study and the complete list of all the chapters, the passages that we're covering. I've just printed those off and taped them in the front of my journal. Now, the materials you need for this study, if you're just joining us, you need your own Bible that you can mark in, underline as you're reading, make little notes in the margins. Then you need some kind of a notebook. I use a moleskin notebook, and I write down everything I find. And we'll talk about this more as we go through this lesson. Another resource, and you can read all about this down below in the description of this video. I strongly encourage you to get your own copy of the MacArthur Study Bible. Now, this is the product of the Master's Seminary that worked together with Dr. MacArthur and put all that he's ever taught, as he's taught through the whole Bible, into one study Bible with 25,000, and you can see them at the bottom, study notes down here. So you have the scriptures with little references down here to the study notes. All kinds of charts and maps and introductions and everything. Why this is so important is that for the rest of your life, we are going to all be faced with false doctrine, false teachers, people coming up with the crazy ideas, and they say that it's in the Bible, and you go, wait a minute, I'm going to be like a Berean Christian. Now, do you remember the Berean Christians? And I'm going to remind you of that, writing it over here, because that's the whole reason for this course. I want you to be like the Bereans in Acts 17:11, who examined the scriptures. They checked the Bible to see what they were hearing taught from Paul matched up with the scriptures. Whatever you hear, whether it's here on our channel or whether it's at your local church or reading some book or in the news, always measure whatever you've heard against the scriptures, okay? And we're going to sharpen you. And that's our prayer as we go through this course. Okay, look down at the slides, and I'm going to show you what I mean. We're here on week 48 of our 52-week journey through. The passage we're studying is 2 Peter 3. Here is a clip I pulled off the internet of the end of the world, as scientists would imagine it. But look at this title. God, and the reason we say God is because he's the one who inspired the Bible, explains, and only he can do this because he's the one that knows everything, has seen everything, the end of everything. And what I mean by that is 2 Peter 3 here, this passage that we're covering, think about this and just let it soak in that only God was able to give us an accurate record of how the world began. In other words, creation. Only God gives us the flawless, accurate account of how everything will end, okay? Because this is the Word of God. This is God speaking. This is God's truth. This is the inspired record. Okay, back to the slides. God explains the end of everything, and that immediately prompted questions, because when I teach, and Bonnie and I teach in Bible institutes and seminaries and classrooms, I always get these two questions. Number one, where is America in prophecy? Number two, why is America not in prophecy? Now look up. What a great question. I'm glad you asked those. So I wrote them over here. We're looking at 2 Peter, but immediately this lesson, this week's lesson, which I envision, I'm sitting on this side of the table, and all of you are joining me. You're either at Panera or Starbucks or Chipotle, or we're sitting, in a small group in someone's living room, and we all have our Bibles and notebooks, and I'm introducing this week's study to you. Now, remember, that's how this started, way back. When Bonnie and I were in ministry in local churches around America, that's what we did all the time in our home and wherever we could gather people. We taught the Bible. But now the Lord is blessed because of COVID and everyone got used to online meetings. I'm having this Bible study while Bonnie and I travel as missionaries. And so we've just popped into the studio, just got back from 12 weeks on the road. We're here for 3 weeks and we're leaving again. And I'm sitting across the table talking about 2 Peter, and I would look up at you across the table and say, when I talk about the end of everything and Bible prophecy, do you think of these two questions? Because everywhere we travel, these two questions are what students come up with. And this is what they say. Where is America in biblical prophecy? And if they're not in biblical prophecy, why is America not in biblical prophecy? So I'm going to real quickly, as a part of this 2 Peter 3 study, but actually I'm going to divide it. It's going to become a question freestanding on YouTube. Plus it's a part of our small group study. Because so many people have this question, I want them to get this biblical framework to understand. Now there's 5 sobering possibilities of why America's not in biblical prophecy. Number 1, we get aligned in with the Antichrist, and we are a part of the Western army. That's one possibility. I'll talk about that. Number 2, we implode. Because of everything that's going on with the debt in our country, 30+ trillion, that somehow we default or whatever financially, and the whole country just kind of unravels, or we explode. Have you been listening to news lately? Every news outlet has carried the fact that Russia has threatened the United Kingdom and the United States. You've caught that, right? I'm going to show you a clip in just a minute that I pulled off of a Russian news station where they actually in Russian are talking and saying, if you of Britain and you of the United States don't stop helping the Ukraine, we're going to respond. And it's sobering. And what they said is 4 of their missiles, 2 on the East Coast, 2 on the West Coast, would completely wipe out about 3/4 of the population of the United States. Okay? That's the explode. Or a blackout. We're going to talk about that. Did you know that 1 missile exploded at 300 miles up in the atmosphere would make an electromagnetic pulse that would basically wipe out all of our electric transmission lines, all of our generators, all of our phone systems, all of our cell towers that we all heavily depend on, plus all the other infrastructure. Want to know something terrible? If the electricity goes off, how do we stop the chain reaction in all the atomic reactors without electricity? They have backup generators, but they only last so long, okay? And then we could dry out. Remember the mega drought that's going on right now? The largest fire right now in our country is a byproduct of this drought.